If they're going to attack one part of the religious community, we have to stand together so that they realize they're attacking all of us, because there's a strength in our numbers and a diversity that just makes it more difficult for them to try to single somebody out and make them into the other.
Interestingly, this passage from Hebrews, which is on the wall behind us, was read and preached in almost every Christian church yesterday on the rotation of scripture readings. And its lesson about hospitality reminds us that hospitality is not merely about making space for someone else. It's about letting people into your hearts and letting them change you. And that is what the great American experience is letting each other into our hearts and being changed by each other. And in moments when people are afraid, in moments of time of conflict and war, it is up to people of faith to stand up and say enough, to stand up and say no, to stand up and say we love you. And that's what we're doing here. The Washington National Cathedral is a house of prayer for all people, and our doors will always be open, and our mouths will always be open in opposition to this anger and this misplaced hatred.
What's happening to the Muslim community is, in international law, they've got this thing about collective guilt, where you punish an entire group of people because one person from that group of people has done something. And that's illegal under international law. You can't do that. You can't punish people that way. And that's what's going on here. Because there were some Muslims who flew planes into the World Trade Towers, all Muslims are being held guilty and accountable for the actions of those people.
So Muslim Americans are playing a vital role as they work to reform and to counter the negative narrative of al-Qaeda and violent extremists, and at the same time represent a form and a denomination and an understanding of Islam in America that promotes coexistence.
I mean, this is August, Washington, D.C. Nobody wants to do anything at this. And everybody said yes, boom, like that, because everybody who's ever been through this stuff understands what's going on here and the threat that it is. I mean, and the Jewish community was the most forceful and the quickest to respond and go, yes, we will be there because we've been through this. And we do not want Muslim brothers and sisters to go through what we went through.
The first Jews to arrive in this country in the 17th century were greeted by then governor of the New Amsterdam colony as, quote, repugnant and, quote, hateful enemies who were not welcome. In the 19th century, when the first synagogue was to be built in this city, in our nation's capital, it took an act of Congress and the signature of a president to overcome the religious bigotry that would have stopped that house of prayer. And yet, both in the 19th century, in the 17th century, and today, as you've heard from my colleagues, this country gives to bigotry no sanction. And so while we remember, particularly as Jews, that we know what it means to be strangers, and it is a shanda, it is a shame and an embarrassment for Jews to stand in opposition for a Muslim community center in New York City, to stand behind the burning of the Quran in Florida, or to give sanction to bigotry and hatred against Muslims or anyone in this country or anywhere. It's a shanda, it's a shame, and it's an embarrassment to our Torah and to our own history. So I call on my elders in the Jewish community. I call on my brothers and sisters everywhere of people of conscience, of those committed to the principles of the United States of America, to stand with our Muslim brothers and sisters everywhere, to stand against violence and to stand against oppression and bigotry. Hine ma tov u'manayim, how good it is, and how pleasant when we live and we dwell together.
Religious nationalism is really the exploitation of religion by a small group of people that use the popularity of religion to serve their political and selfish interests. They want to gain political power at the expense of another group by scapegoating them and by promoting hate and fear in society as a result. This is what
Muslim extremism and Muslim nationalism is about, and we find that, unfortunately, with the rhetoric of Glenn Beck and others like him. Religious pluralism is really the essence of religion, because God's will is that we're all created differently. If we wanted to be one community, God would have made us one community, but it is his will in that he made us into different communities, ethnically, racially, and religiously. So to serve the will of God is really to serve all of humanity. To believe in one God is to believe in one human family. And that is what religious pluralism is about, that religion is meant for coexistence.
We really need to begin education. We need to get our message out as forcefully as Glenn Beck gets his out. I don't hold it against him that he gets his message out. We just need to get our message out, because I believe that when those two messages battle in the public domain, the message that we have, which is one of peace and love and reconciliation and working together and living together, it will prevail.